Orange County Fire Rescue.
6600 Sea Harbor Drive.
Okay.
They are at Shamu Stadium. We actually have a trainer in the water with one of our whales, the whale that they're not supposed to be in the water with.
Okay.
In 1965, orca captivity became known to the public when Ted Griffin made history. Griffin was a former aquarium owner and entrepreneur and was the first man to ever swim with a killer whale in public exhibition. He is best known for capturing and performing with Namu, who was the first whale to perform for the public, which struck national phenomena in the late 1960s.
I guess it was bound to happen. There was bound to be a song written about Namu the whale, and a rock and roll song at that.
Take it, Namu.
However, 1965 also brought numerous protests to help Namu.
With your recording, could you give us a listen to these? Do you have any idea just what these noises might be in response?
During this time period, scientists and the general public knew very little about killer whales, which only caused fear and superstition.
The two most dangerous animals on Earth.
What in hell are you?
However, killer whales are extremely friendly and are rarely harmful. Over the next 30 years, more orcas were mutilated and bought for their meat or for their performance.
Only after the little ones. I was told because of shipping costs, that's why they only take the little ones. The whole hunt was over. There were 3 dead whales in the net. And so they had Peter and Brian and I cut the whales open, fill them with rocks, put anchors on their tail, and sink them.
In 1976, a court order in the state of Washington told SeaWorld by name that they could no longer hunt in their waters due to their capturing process. So the fishermen moved to Iceland, where they would catch the biggest whale in captivity history.
This is the worst thing that I've ever done, is hunt that whale.
In 1983, a male whale was captured in the North Atlantic. They later named him Tilikum. Tilikum had then been kept at Sealand of the Pacific, where his conditions include food deprivation. It was also here where he would begin to change history.
We stored these whales at night in what we call a module, which was 20 feet across and probably 30 feet deep, as a safety precaution because we were worried about people cutting the net and letting them go, and the lights were all turned out. So there's really no stimulation. They're just in this dark metal 20-foot by 30-foot pool for 2/3 of their life.
An employee is dead after an encounter
at a Canadian park called Sealand of the Pacific.
As seen in this home video, rescuers used a huge net to try.
Workers' efforts were hindered by the agitation.
In 1991, Tilikum made history by being the first whale in captivity to kill a human, a 60-year-old trainer by the name of Kelty Burns. Not long after the incident, the owner of Sealand shut its doors and Tilikum was moved to SeaWorld for breeding and performance purposes.
County's sheriff deputies have identified the 27-year-old man found dead in a killer whale's tank at SeaWorld. The victim is Daniel P. Dukes from South Carolina. Dukes was found yesterday draped over the back of Tilikum, the largest orca held in captivity.
In 1999, Dukes was found dead in the bottom of Tilikum's tank with his genitalia bitten off.
Say that they're a family, that the whales are in their family. They have their pods, but that's just, an artificial assemblage of their collection, however management decides they should mix them, and whichever ones happen to be born or bought and brought in. That
happen as a result of them being thrown in with other whales that they haven't grown up with, that are not part of their culture, is there's hyperaggression, a lot of violence, a lot of killing in captivity that you don't ever see in the wild.
County Sheriff's Office today's date is February 24th, 2010. The time is any blood in the water or anything like that?
Well, that's part of it. She was scalped and there was no blood.
Okay.
So pretty much we knew then that the heart wasn't beating.
Once they were able to pull her away, how did he let go of the...
He didn't.
He never let go of the
arm?
The arm.
He swallowed it.
He swallowed it?
This is Don Brancho. Don is the senior trainer here at Shamu Stadium, and I had the honor, Don, and I mean this so sincerely, of watching you perform yesterday. You're amazing. Thank you. You really are.
In 2007, a very experienced trainer by the name of Don Brancho was killed by Tillicum after he scalped her and bit off her arm in front of a horrified audience.
Whale performances may never be the same.
These are wild animals, and they are unpredictable because we don't speak whale. We don't speak whale, we don't speak tiger, we don't speak monkey.
If you were in a bathtub for 25 years, don't you think you'd get a little irritated, aggravated, maybe a little psychotic?
I always felt they could kill you very quickly and very easily, but I never felt that that was their intention or that that was their will, and it was just a matter of listening to them. And sometimes if you didn't listen to them and they were quite frustrated, they would show you in a very dramatic fashion, and not necessarily in a fashion to be violent or harm you, but just in a fashion to say, hey, you need to listen to me at this time.
I attempted to contact SeaWorld numerous times, and each time I was denied access or never contacted back.
Has confirmed the killer whale pulled the woman into the water. She didn't fall into the tank as the sheriff's department initially reported.
She contends that the whale came up and grabbed Don Brancho's arm, saying that that was another level of aggressiveness. And again, SeaWorld is saying it was not an aggressive move. One of SeaWorld's top curators, Chuck Tompkins, said when Don Brancho was pulled off that ledge, it wasn't necessarily aggressive behavior by the whale. We're continuing to work toward this theory that SeaWorld knew there was a calculated risk of injury or death, but put trainers in the water with the whales anyway, while SeaWorld will say that Don Brancho's death was an isolated incident.
This is the third time this killer whale has been involved in the death of a person over the past 20 years. In this case, it was a seasoned trainer who had worked at this park for 16 years and knew the animal well.
Has a completely different set of behaviors. Each has a complete repertoire of vocalizations with no overlap. You could call them languages. The scientific community is reluctant to say any other animal but humans uses languages, but there's every indication that they use languages.
The orca brain just screams out intelligence, awareness. We took this tremendous brain and we put it in a magnetic resonance imaging scanner. What we found was just astounding. They've got a part of the brain that humans don't have. A part of their brain has extended out right adjacent to their limbic system. The system processes emotions. The safest inference would be these are animals that have highly elaborated emotional lives.
Today, marine biologists and SeaWorld critics are trying to remove the orca still in captivity to what is called a sea pen. These sea pens will be used to educate on the natural environment and behaviors of these killer whales, as opposed to the circus acts at SeaWorld. The tragedy is the numerous harsh conditions that these whales had to endure and the deaths caused by them.
The orca has died after more than 2 decades at SeaWorld Orlando.
In this half hour, with the death of Tillicum, the SeaWorld orca best known for killing a trainer in...
SeaWorld is essentially saying, okay, we are going to stop breeding these killer whales in captivity. Well, SeaWorld has been listening and we are changing. Society is changing and we're changing with it. SeaWorld is finding new ways to continue to deliver on our purpose to inspire all our guests to take action to protect wild animals and wild places.
San Diego will bring its theatrical orca show to a close after years of criticism and controversy.
It's time to stop forcing the animals to perform in basically a circus environment.
Multi-billion-dollar corporation that makes its money through the exploitation of orcas.
They're not suitable to have in captivity.
The whales are really bored. You deprive them of all this environmental stimulation.
Shut it down! Shut it